Well, just 3 days before the world gets together for the start of the World Cup in Qatar, Durban, here in South Africa, will play host to the World Football Summit once again. Joining me now is co-founder and director of the summit, Alessie. A very good afternoon and welcome to Newzroom Afrika. You just flew into South Africa. Welcome once again. So why is Durban the place for this summit?
Well, actually, we've been looking forward to this summit for many, many years. We had to cancel what we are organizing next week in March 2020. We were 5 days from inaugurating our first edition of World Football Summit Africa in Durban, and due to the pandemic, we were forced to cancel. So we've been waiting for more than 2 years, to nearly 3 years, for the summit to finally happen. World Football Summit is an international congress around the business of football. And we've celebrated 6th edition in Spain. We have a European edition, which is probably the biggest football industry event in the world. And now we're taking that same event to the African continent. And KwaZulu-Natal, they came to us and they had a bid. And we decided that Durban would be our home for the African continent. And we're really looking forward to celebrating this new edition next week on the 16th and 17th of November and making it an annual edition and bringing together the key stakeholders of the African football industry once a year.
That's what it's all about. It's about connecting influential people within African football. What exactly happens at the summit? Because you've got quite a wide variety of people that are actually speaking.
Yeah. It's African people and people from all over the world, actually. We have already 50 nationalities that have confirmed their presence to Durban and that are going to fly to Durban for this event. We have a 2-day program with over 30 different panels that are going to be discussing everything that has to do with the challenges and opportunities of football. Not only in Africa, but globally, because the football is such a global industry and touches so many sectors, So we actually have stakeholders from the clubs, the leagues, the federations, obviously mainly from Africa, but we also have people coming from the Bundesliga, from La Liga, which is one of our main partners as well, and different companies, technology companies such as Meta, TikTok. Our official airline is Turkish Airline. So we're really bringing all those stakeholders together to discuss the future of football and especially to discuss the future of African football, which has such a huge potential for growth.
One of the key things is to discuss opportunities and challenges and, I suppose, risks to the footballing industry as well as business opportunities. Where do you think the biggest risks are for global football currently?
Well, I wouldn't say risks. I think there are risks in absolutely everything, but I see a lot of opportunities, and World Football Summit is really a platform to promote those opportunities and to bring those stakeholders together to debate how to grow the industry in a sustainable fashion. So there are many things that haven't been developed maybe correctly or can be developed more correctly, like women's football, which is a huge opportunity for football, not only in Africa, but globally. We're also focusing a lot on technology and how technology is allowing clubs, leagues, and federations to reach a global audience. And now another hot topic is everything that is around, blockchain, Web3, NFTs, which, again, is a new sector where football, because of its power to engage with those global audiences, is the perfect platform to do so.
Yeah, we've seen how other companies in the digital currency space have really capitalized on the communities that are grown from a sporting perspective. One thing that really struck me, however, when I was looking through your list of speakers, you don't really have anybody from advocacy groups. And if you're talking about growing football in a sustainable way, you actually need the voice of advocates. You need the voice of those people that are on the ground, that are actually involved in the work to ensure that the future of football, whether it be women's football or African football, is done in a way that is sustainable and holistic.
Yeah, no, but actually that is one of our key pillars. And it always has been a key pillar at World Football Summit, is the power of football for development. And none is, I think, more important than here in Africa. And actually one of our mottos when we started WFS Africa was the famous phrase from Mandela, that football, no, or sports has the power to change the world. World Football Summit always has a very strong program around football and development. We also belong to an organization called Common Goal, which has a network of NGOs around the globe and in Africa that use the power of football for development. And that is always a very strong topic. And we have, 4 or 5 panels around that. And actually some of also the revenue that we garner through our event is also given to those organizations. No? So we actually hope that this event talks, discusses, and solves, and that we can give a small grain of salt, to solve those problems, or to at least open the conversations to them.
It is quite a difficult balance when you're talking about business opportunities, but then also talking about doing development in...
But business has to be sustainable. I think that's the future of any business. I think a business that today doesn't look at the sustainability and doesn't look at the importance of purpose, I think in the long term is going to be a dead business. And football is an industry that is growing a lot and has a huge voice. Thus, it also, I think, has a huge responsibility. And it has to act in a very responsible and sustainable way. So yeah, probably not all football clubs or not the whole industry is acting that way at the moment, but certainly there's a lot of pressure and a lot of discussion to do so. And I believe strongly it is moving in that direction, and it should move in that direction if it's going to survive. Otherwise, I think other sports are going to take over, and they're going to be left behind.
Interestingly, because you said the most success was in Europe, and we've just seen a couple of months ago, I suppose more than a couple of months ago, the attempt to create a Super League. Just a couple of weeks ago, they've revitalized that plan. How much of a discussion was that in your Madrid conference, and how much of that is actually debated? That
is a big topic of discussion. When it happened, it actually was launched, over 2 years ago. It failed pretty miserably, but now they're retaking it. And actually, to make it successful, they've had to implement a lot of the changes which are important for the sustainability of football as an industry. So at the beginning, when they launched the Super League, it was going to be a closed format, and now they're talking about an open format where any club can participate. So actually, football has also a lot of pressure from the fans, because without the fans, football will be nothing. And I believe the fans have that responsibility and know where football has to go to. And the Super League, for example, has seen it. I don't know whether it's going to happen or not one day, but if it does happen, I think it's going to have to go in that direction, and it can't be just a closed format for a few clubs that want to earn more money. Yeah, I suppose it's a different kind of world in Europe when it comes to football, if we have to do a direct comparison to what's happening in Africa. And I'd like to know what have been some of the successes of the Madrid summits over the years that you hope to also have in Durban. Yeah, well, our first summit in Madrid was in 2016. It was a smaller event to the one that we celebrated a couple of months back. But it was a success. We brought together various key stakeholders, and we managed to build a very powerful brand, a brand that now reaches over 70,000 people from across the globe through our newsletter, through our social media, and we've also internationalized that brand. So our event in Spain is called WFS Europe, and the main topics there are discussing the challenges and opportunities of European football. In 2019, we did our first international event in Kuala Lumpur, and that was focused on the Asian football industry. And in 2020, we were about to organize our first African edition. The pandemic didn't allow us to do so. And next week, we have the opportunity to bring those key stakeholders to debate about the African football industry, and for this to be a first edition of many more to come. So we hope that KwaZulu-Natal, that Durban, that South Africa becomes our home for African football, and that we can develop the event as well as we've done in Europe, to do it in Africa and to become that annual meeting point for everybody who has an interest in the growth and sustainability of African football.
And the KZN governments are coming in as partners. They've put money into the event?
Yes, they're our main partners. They're the main contributors. They're the ones who really, fought for our event to take place there. And they've really made a huge effort. So have us, especially after, the cancellation of the event in 2020. And we're really excited with that partnership and to grow this event together with them.
Can you tell us how much it costs?
I don't know.
Okay. No. All right. So I understand that this will be available online, so people actually can also follow it online. They can listen to the discussions. They can listen to the panels.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it is a B2B event, so actually it's an event for professionals of the football industry who work in it. So there is a cost to actually participate, and we have different participation options. So we have a VIP ticket, we have a delegate pass, and then for anybody who wants to actually participate in an online manner, there is a digital pass, which is cheaper, and so all of the panels are streamed online, and you can also, access our app and network with all of the attendees that are there at the summit now. So this is an opportunity really to meet in 2 days people that otherwise might take you 12, 24 months to do so,
or even never get the opportunity
exactly.
to hear where their headspace is when it comes to the future of football. That we've come to the end of our time. Thank you very much. That's the co-founder and director of the World Football Summit, Jan Alessie, chatting to us about the summit, which is going to be taking place in Durban between the 16th and the 17th of November. Certainly a way to get into World Cup mode in like no other, and it's happening right here in South Africa. That concludes